Hi everybody, welcome back to another edition of Crafting and Crime Daily, the show where I, your host Rebecca, recap live trials, currently covering the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell. Here's what's happening today. I also do true crime. Today we're going to do a true crime story that just happened last year. So let me tell you what's going on with Lori Vallow Daybell first. This morning they will be doing jury instructions. They worked on them all day yesterday. So today the judge will be reading the jury instructions to the jury, and following which there will be closing arguments. Now, who knows how long that's going to take. If, God forbid, it takes all day, they will have to come back tomorrow and start deliberations, or start them very late. Their openings weren't terribly long. The defense was really short. If that's any judge, then the jury should get this case by this afternoon. God forbid everything comes to a halt if it lasts all day, the closings, and the judge says, hey, come back on Monday. I don't know, because they usually only do like a half a day on Friday. But a jury deliberating shouldn't interfere with anything else that might be going on in the court. In any case, the judge has ruled that this can be streamed live, the verdict. So I'll be on verdict watch. I want to bring that to you live when it happens. If there are any other updates, I'll bring those to you as well. Today, I'm going to do the story of Kouri Richins. Now, this has been all over the news, but I want to just do sort of a deep dive. There's not a lot of information out there, but I want to tell you what I have. Kouri was married to Eric Richins. They've been married for 9 years. They live in Summit County, Utah. Yeah, we're going back to Utah. Now, I don't know if she's Mormon or not. I have no idea. But why don't those people just get divorces? Like, what is going on in Utah? Divorce, people, divorce. Okay. Yes, that's kind of a hint. Kouri Richins was born April 20th, 1999. She's 33 years old. Her husband, Eric, was 39 years old at the time of his unexpected death on March 3rd, 2022. They had 3 children, 3 little boys. Their names were Carter, Ashton, and Weston. So cute. Yeah. So Kouri's a real estate agent. She's flipping houses. She's, doing real estate. Eric, not much out there about Eric Richins. Apparently an entrepreneur, according to his obituary. Yes, say that 3 times fast. So on Monday, just a few days ago, Kouri Richins was arrested for aggravated murder and 3 counts of possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute it. Now, I don't know that the evidence is going to bear that out based on what I'm reading, but here's what happened. On March 2nd, 2022, they're celebrating the closing of a house for her business. She goes to the kitchen and makes him a Moscow mule and serves it to him in bed. How lovely, isn't it? Now, they were the only ones home, her husband, and the 3 boys. Now, what the heck is a Moscow mule? I had to look this up because I don't think I've ever had one. I'm not much of a drinker. So it's vodka, ginger beer, and lime juice. Sounds awful. Anyway, he drank it. She doesn't, soon after that, she leaves the bedroom. She goes to one of the children's bedrooms because they had a night terror, and she falls asleep with the child. She wakes up around 3 a.m. and goes back to her bedroom where she left her phone plugged in. She didn't take her phone with her into the child's room. At least that's what she says. More to come on that. She finds her husband lying on the floor on the foot of the bed, and she feels him, and he's cold. She calls 911. She says, my husband is unresponsive. So EMS and police show up, and sure enough, they find him at the foot of the bed, and he is deceased. An autopsy is done, and the autopsy showed an overdose of fentanyl. Based on the stomach contents, the medical examiner said This fentanyl was orally ingested, perhaps in the Moscow Mule, you think? His level of fentanyl in his bloodstream was 5 times the lethal dose. That's incredible. So, based on this autopsy, police get a search warrant. They take they take the phone and several computers from the house. They download all of the information. And here's what they find. Her phone that she said she didn't take with her to her child's room had, we know from the Murdaugh murder case, all the things you can do with a cell phone. This cell phone had been locked and unlocked several times during the relevant time period, and there was movement recorded on the phone. Also found were multiple communications during that period of time, which were deleted. Now, I'm getting all this from the arrest affidavit, but I'm sure when this goes to court, if she doesn't take a plea, when this goes to court, we'll get details of those messages, because they can retrieve deleted messages. They just didn't put it in the affidavit, what those deleted messages said. But on the computers, there were multiple communications with a person or an individual named CL. He's not identified. He or she is not identified. So one of the communications from Kouri to CL was, could she get some prescription pain meds for an investor who had a back injury? So they're going back and forth, and she sets up a deal where he's going to leave some hydrocodone at a house that she is flipping, and she'll leave the money there. So that goes through. There's another communication later on where she told CL, my investor would like something stronger. Perhaps some of the stuff Michael Jackson used. And then she did ask specifically for fentanyl. So they set up a deal where he or she, CL, was going to leave 15 to 30 fentanyl pills in exchange for $900 at the house that she was flipping. So that goes forward on February 14th, 2022. Kouri and Eric are celebrating Valentine's Day. They have a nice dinner, and following which he becomes very, very ill. He tells his friend, I think my wife is trying to poison me. Then, on February 26th of 2022, they find a communication again between Kouri and this person, CL, in which they're arranging for another $900 worth of pills to be left in the fire pit at the house she is flipping. So that occurs, and then 9 days later, we find Eric dead at the foot of the bed. Now, I want to read to you his obituary. Eric Richins lived life to the fullest and with few regrets. He had a love for hunting, the family cattle ranch, and his insane drive as a successful entrepreneur. Being the eldest was a dubious task, but he was up for the challenge and led and loved his sisters fiercely. At an early age, Eric learned the joy of keeping horses and cows around. He spent countless hours helping his dad work the ranch, hauling hay, feeding the animals, and mending fences. He loved his family unconditionally and was a devoted son, brother, and uncle. He always strove to be the best, absolute best father and husband. Eric loved to have fun and always the life of the party. Now, following his death, his wife writes a book, and the book is called Are You With Me? This is a children's book that is supposed to help children with grief, loss, and death. And I'm going to read to you a description of this book. Wherever you go, whoever you become, their love remains with you. A heartwarming and reassuring book that gently guides children through the difficult experience of losing a loved one. Written by a loving mother who personally faced this challenge, This book is designed to offer comfort and solace to young minds in a way that is both accessible and engaging. With vivid and colorful illustrations, Are You With Me follows the story of a child who has lost their father, but who is reminded that his presence still exists all around them, just like an angel watching over them, whether it's playing at the park or simply enjoying a quiet moment at home. The child is comforted by the knowledge that their father is always by their side. Now, this woman, after she writes this book, this book did really, really well. She's on all these talk shows, she interviews. People just loved this book. And then 3 days ago, she gets arrested for her husband's murder. Now, did she not know what the autopsy results were, this overdose of fentanyl, or just maybe she thought that they would never connect it to her? Now, when they did get this search warrant, we don't know what they found in the home as far as drugs, because she is charged with possession of controlled substances. So they must have found some controlled substances in that home. I think there's going to be a lot more information out there in the weeks to come, but this is definitely going to be a case that I'm going to want to watch and bring you if it ever goes to trial. It's going to be really, really interesting. But did she not know about antifreeze? It's undetectable, sweetheart. Yeah. Okay. Just saying. We learned that during a previous trial. So, yeah, not a lot to talk about today. I'm going to go over the true crime calendar. We're covering on the true crime calendar the murder of Rebecca Witt. She and her lesbian partner, Claudia Brenner, were hiking in the Appalachian Mountains when they came across a guy named Stephen Roy Carr. And he was really creepy, and, they were out there to get away from it all. So they picked up and they moved their camp to a more secluded place. And one night they were, after a day of hiking and a nice dinner, they laid down, they were starting to have sex when this Stephen Roy Carr, who was about 80 feet away, opens fire on them and starts shooting them both. Claudia was able to, when the shooting was over, Rebecca could not walk, but Claudia was able to hike 3 miles and then hitchhike to where she could call 911. She was hospitalized with her injuries. The police responded to their campsite. They found Rebecca deceased. Now we're going to talk about the hunt for Stephen Carr. Carr left 25 rounds of ammunition and his hat at the scene. He believed both women were dead and may have expected the bodies wouldn't be found for some time. Police released a composite drawing of Carr made with Brenner's help. Carr hid out in a nearby Mennonite community where the residents didn't watch TV or read the news for 10 days after the shooting, until a Mennonite who secretly watched TV saw Carr's sketch and alerted police. Carr was arrested and charged with first and third degree murder, attempted murder, and 2 counts of aggravated assault. His attorney, Michael George, explored several possible defenses, including the insanity defense. But after Brenner confirmed in a preliminary hearing that she and Witt were dating, he settled on a version of the gay panic defense. What? I never heard of this. George claimed Carr became inexplicably enraged when the women teased and taunted and provoked him by walking around nude and being intimate while they thought they were completely alone. He also raised Carr's history of being sexually abused. What? Okay. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about how this all ends up. I got to tell you, if I was a juror, I'd say, I'm not buying that. No, I'm not buying it. Well, of course, what year was this? This all occurred in the 90s, late 80s. I hate to be the person that says things were different then, but the culture has significantly changed in terms of LGBTQ since that time. So people are a lot more accepting now. I still don't know if I would buy that as a defense. I don't know. All right, guys. Yeah, short show today. I apologize. We will be on verdict watch for the Vallow Daybell case. I hope you enjoyed the true crime story of Kouri Richins. Yeah, leave me a comment down below if you've heard of this story or you know anything more about the story. Listen, it's said that I read one thing that said she was a writer of thriller novels, that she was a very good writer. Obviously, the children's book did very well. I could not find a single thing that she wrote other than this children's book. I don't know. If it's out there, maybe it's, I don't know. Have you ever read a book that she wrote? Let me know in the comments. I will see you tomorrow, if not sooner, for a verdict. I'm going to put up on the community page a poll. Check out the community page. Let me know your thoughts about guilty, not guilty, hung jury. I'll see you then. Bye, everybody. Take care.